Hey there, Plow and Pantry peeps. In today's video, I am making cinnamon rolls from scratch. I have a recipe that I have loved for years, and I tweaked it a tiny bit from my mom growing up, and that's what I've been making for my entire adulthood now. But I've been trying to swap over some of my favorite recipes to use freshly milled grain. I did a video that I can link for you with my grain mill and making my first things from it. So I'm pretty new. I'm not into a lot of the stuff I do on the channel, but I am very new to freshly milled grains. So it's taken me a few tries at the cinnamon rolls, but I have it down now. And my family loves these, possibly even more than the original recipe before. If you have not baked with freshly milled grain, it imparts a flavor to your food that is so nice in a baked good and is completely missing in store-bought flour. And if you're wondering why I'm still making things like cinnamon rolls when I've recently discovered that my youngest child is celiac, well, it's because she doesn't like cinnamon rolls, so it's not an issue for us. Also, she happened to be out of town at church camp the week I made these, so we enjoyed a lot of things while she was away. So I use hard white wheat for these and ground enough with a bit extra to make sure I had enough to use in the dough and to flour the counter when I roll them out the next day. If you hear clicking sounds in the background, my dog's walking around and her nails are kind of loud. It has been hard, but I've learned not to over flour recipes with fresh flour. It has just a different texture. So I will type the recipe for you below in the description box, by the way. I'll also link the grain mill I'm using. It's a great starter mill in my opinion. So after I got the flour milled, I started on scalding a milk concoction. By the way, I should mention that these are a 2-day project for me. I make the dough the night before, cold proof it in the fridge overnight, and then roll out the cinnamon rolls in the morning to bake them off. And since cinnamon rolls are a yeast bread and have to rise, if I started them in the morning, I'd have to get up seriously early. If I start the dough at night, I can let it slowly rise overnight in the fridge and have the dough ready to make them fresh in the morning. I learned this trick about 2 decades ago. I've been doing it that way ever since. So I combine a pint of whole milk, half a cup of avocado oil, and half a cup of sugar in a saucepan and just scald it. Scalding the milk helps prevent the proteins in the milk from interfering with the gluten when the dough rises. And scalding is just FYI, it's when the milk just starts to bubble around the outside edges. I think I tried to show you in, I'm not sure which clip we're on. But it's not boiling, it's just starting to bubble right around the outside edges. So you stop right before the boiling point. So then I set a timer and I let it cool about 45 minutes. That way it's still warm enough to activate the yeast that I add to it, but then still cool enough to not kill the yeast. So I add a tablespoon of yeast to this and I let that sit for a minute or two and just kind of adjust. Then I put in 4 cups of flour. When baking, you're really looking for a certain texture, and some days there might be slightly more flour, some days you might use slightly less, so it's kind of more by sight. I like to mix it in my stand mixer with a dough hook, but you can do it by hand if you like. I also like to do 1 cup at a time and mix it in so I don't accidentally add too much flour because that can dry out the dough, especially when you're using the freshly milled grains. So it's kind of this thick but sticky dough when you work with it. It's totally different texture with fresh milled grain than when you work with store-bought flour. It's almost like a thick batter instead of the bread dough that I'm used to. It's kind of taking me a bit to get used to that because I've always been a baker and I've always been baking with store-bought flour, and so I have years and years of experience with a certain texture I'm looking for. But at that point, I let it sit and begin to rise for at least an hour, up to 2. I'm not looking for a level of rising here. I'm just letting the yeast begin to work. And then I add another cup of flour and 3/4 of a teaspoon baking powder and half teaspoon of baking soda, a little bit of salt, I think a half teaspoon. I add those at separate times because the baking soda and the baking powder give the finished product a slightly lighter and fluffier crumb. But it's best not to add them at the same time as the yeast. Most yeast bread recipes don't actually call for both the quick chemical leaveners like the baking soda and baking powder as yeast, but in this one I do it. So I mix it that time at medium-high speed until the dough has cleaned the bowl. I call it self-cleaning, where the dough picks up all the pieces along the walls of the bowl and the bowl itself looks almost clean. If it never seems to get that way, you might need a bit more flour. Then I just cover it with plastic wrap, put it in the fridge overnight, and this is where the break is. Sometimes I've left it for a day or two. You might need to punch it down if you let it sit there more than overnight, but you can let it sit there for longer if something happens and you don't get to it the next morning. You can do the next day or something like that. I know this seems like a kind of long and involved process, but it really helps the flavor develop and the texture exactly where I like it. And since I'm not trying to get these done before dawn for breakfast, I don't mind doing bits of the prep work here and there. So the next morning, I like to let the bowl sit out for a few minutes just to let the chill begin to come off. It doesn't have to come to room temperature, but the dough is easy to work with if it's not straight out of the fridge type cold. On this particular day, the dough was right around doubled in size when I pulled it out, so it was perfect. I had a jar of the extra flour that I had ground. I had about 3/4 of a cup. I typically do grind a little bit of extra flour just for flouring the surface. So I roll out a half to a third of the dough at a time. It's just easier for me to work with the smaller bits that way. It's not small, actually, it's just easier to work with. I use that, my island right there, I roll out the dough. I find it easiest to kind of push it down and out a little bit and then start rolling. And then, the typical process of cinnamon rolls, you roll it into a rectangle. I like to trim the rectangle even, especially the first few rolls. It makes it easier, and those bits that get trimmed off can be put back into the next chunk that I roll out. I don't think I mentioned that this usually makes me somewhere between 2 and 3 pie plates of cinnamon rolls. So it's kind of a big batch. I do that on purpose, but I like to freeze some without frosting. And during this particular week, my son was home and he eats a ton, so we actually ate 2 pie plates full of cinnamon rolls. I don't usually measure my melted butter or my cinnamon and sugar mixture. For the cinnamon sugar, I use a bit of granulated and a bit of brown sugar and quite a bit of cinnamon and a pinch of nutmeg as well. But I don't measure it. I just mix it up until it looks right to me, which is a bit darker than traditional recipes because I add the brown sugar and because I typically use quite a bit more cinnamon than most recipes call for. That is part of the joy of baking at home. You can adjust things to taste, and we like cinnamon rolls to be cinnamon rolls. I am liberal with my butter and my mixture, and I roll it up tight into that long tube, and then I tend to do shorter rectangles on the width part so that my rolls don't end up like raw in the center and burnt on the outside. The very ends that are like pointy and small, I usually put back into the next chunk of dough to roll out. I actually love those rolls the best, the ones towards the end, because when they're done, the bread part of the cinnamon roll has a small amount of cinnamon and sugar mixed into there too from the ones you trimmed off. I also put butter in the pie plates before the rolls went in them, and I sit them on top of the stove while the oven heats up just to let them start to rise. I like to give them like 30 minutes to rise this time, and I just put the first pan over there. I go back out to my island. I roll out the next pan. I put it on the stove and repeat. When I get my last chunk of dough to roll out, I like to fold the ends over since I'm not going to cut it and waste the ends. And roll it into I just like press them in just to help it be more of a uniform rectangle. You don't have to do that. I just prefer nice, neat edges. You do have to press harder on the edges when you roll it that way just because you don't want the edges to be thicker. So while those were baking, I made my frostings. On this day, I made 2. The smaller pan, I just froze without any frosting because that's what I do when I freeze them. And when I use those, I will let them thaw and make them fresh batch of frosting. Frosting goes really fast for cinnamon rolls. No one in our family is a fan of the cream cheese frosting, so we just do powdered sugar based. So one of them I did almost like a Pioneer Woman inspired one that had powdered sugar with milk and a bit of coffee and a bit of maple syrup. Her cinnamon roll frosting recipe has like maple extract and stuff like that. So then the other pan I just did the regular powdered sugar and milk with a touch of vanilla extract. I like to frost them when they're hot, so when they come out I got to drizzling and we got to eating. I realize the making of the dough isn't the most simple or quick method out there, but I do love the taste and the crumb and the texture when these are finished. And since I'm making the dough ahead of time, I don't really mind the process. It's a lot of sitting time that you can do other things, like do little bits of it around other chores. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me in the kitchen today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, be sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to see more cooking and food preservation and gardening or semi-homesteading videos. And I hope to see you guys on the next one.